Raideep ji, I have read Dr. Guleria's statement in the newspapers. I haven't really spoken to him about his views on this subject. But I am an eternal optimist. And you look at the figures in India right now, we have some 55,000 odd cases. Our recovery rate is 30%. 17,000 patients have returned home after having got cured completely. Our mortality rate continues to be around 3%, probably the lowest in the whole world. The global average is around 7%. And look at our population. It's a country of 135 crores. 20 top countries of the whole world. If you combine their population, I think we are equal to that. And look at the figures, their mortality rate, look at the number of cases that they are suffering from, look at the number of unfortunate deaths and the numbers of people who have succumbed there. I think we are performing so well as compared to the rest of the world. And we have had some of the best interventions, the most important of them being the historic lockdown announced by our Prime Minister. People behaved so responsibly, they showed utmost discipline, commitment, and the results are there to show everything. You see, our curve is already quite steady. And during the course of the last 3.5 months, we have never seen an exponential growth in the curve. Do you remember there was one gentleman, a great scientist who was director of a very famous institute in America, an Indian. He had recently come to India. He was interviewed by many TV channels, including BBC. He had predicted that India will have about 300 million cases and about 4 to 5 million of those cases will be very critical. He had in fact had a forecast of a tsunami sort of thing for the coronavirus in India.
Yes.
And that he had predicted for May, June. I don't think anything of that sort has happened in India. These mathematical calculations, and that he also had, I think, calculated on the basis of the developments in America and UK. I think the lockdown has been very, very effective. The very fact that you acknowledge that our doubling rate is 11 days now, it itself gives you the answer. Before the lockdown, if I correctly remember, our doubling rate was about 3 to 4 days. And now it's ranging between 11 to 13 days, and sometimes it comes up to 10 days also. So it itself is a clear indication of the fact that lockdown has been very useful, very productive to control and manage coronavirus, and it itself is an indication of the success that we have been able to achieve in our fight against coronavirus. We have complete control of the situation in the whole country. Right now, you know, the whole country is divided into green, orange and red zones. We are very clear which are our unaffected districts. We are very clear which are our hotspots. We are very clear which are our non-hotspot districts. And we have a differential strategy for every district. And now, after having significantly measured and seen the success of the lockdown, we have come to a position where we have started relaxing the principles of lockdown in a differential manner. So I am sure that in times to come, we should be able to have a decisive win over coronavirus. I think we may have to take a call on this particular issue just before 17th of May. Moreover, I would love to say that our Prime Minister has, in no uncertain terms, declared our strategy very clearly when he said that Jaan is also important and Jahan is also important. So the future course of events will be decided according to this guiding principle. You see, this is not the first virus that has come to this world. In the past also, so many viruses have come, and they have all, in fact, in their own way produced diseases. They have all given us some sort of ailment in some form or the other of different severities. For some we could find a vaccine, some are still there. They are either in endemic proportions, sometimes they become epidemic in some countries. It's only two viruses that we have been able to eradicate from this whole world. One is smallpox, another one is poliomyelitis virus. So for every virus which takes birth, this virus was born only 4 months back. We really don't know how is it going to behave in the coming times. So ultimately, as we are living with all other viruses and all other bacteria and all other diseases, we have to like other viruses. This virus is also, it may also survive, and it may also become endemic in various countries. We really don't know how will it behave in India. But of course, I feel that coronavirus will be remembered in future as some sort of a blessing in disguise for this whole world. Although I feel so sorry for those thousands and lakhs of people who succumbed to death because of the coronavirus. But this coronavirus has taught us many good things also. And the etiquettes and the living norms and the social distancing and the way we are supposed to behave in society, I think these all new normals that are being created, if we learn to live with them, I think it's not only going to help us in dealing with coronavirus, but it will help us in many other, disease alleviation and elimination programs, and it's going to certainly improve the health of this whole world in a big way. You see, personally, as a doctor, also as a health activist who has worked all his life for the cause of health issues, and also as a union health minister right now, I have always advocated and I have always advised people, and more particularly my patients, to keep away from liquor and also to avoid use of tobacco, smoking, etc., etc. And at this moment, if you ask me very personally, I never liked the decision of opening of these liquor shops, and it was a call which had to be taken by the state governments. The lockdown principles and the principles for relaxation were advised by the Home Ministry, but ultimately the call had to be taken by the state governments. I wish they had taken this decision after a few more weeks. And even if they had taken this decision, they should have ensured that once the liquor shops are open, they should have anticipated what's going to happen, and not only social distancing but all other social factors should have been taken into consideration. Anyway, whatever has happened, we cannot undo it, but for the various state governments, I can only say that it is never too late. If you feel that the decision was not good, it can always be revisited again. I think this is exactly the line which we have taken, and this is exactly our strategy even now. Within the cities also, there are red zones And within those zones also there are containment zones. And whatever is being done today or is being planned or is being implemented or is being monitored is a cluster containment strategy or a large outbreak containment strategy. And within the containment zones there is micro planning also. And the follow-up is also to ensure that there is a very meticulous house-to-house survey also. We are advocating to the state governments through advice being given by our central observers who are experts to ensure that there are community leaders who are made in charge of the strategy at the street level, at the most micro level, to ensure that we pick up the positives in those slums or maybe the containment zones within the cities at the earliest, to ensure that we are able to curtail transmission in those areas so as to have, you can say, a good control over COVID situation in the cities. You see, we have a very judicious testing policy. It is very, very clearly defined who needs to be tested. And this policy has been drafted by our experts from all related fields under the supervision of ICMR. All the state governments have been given regular advisories, and whatever modifications have come in the testing policy from time to time, they have been intimated to the various state governments, and they are doing testing according to those guiding principles. Some of the states may be a little more proactive about it, but as such, there is no confusion about who needs to be tested. Right now, we have even extended our testing policy for proactively searching SARI, that's severe acute respiratory illness, and influenza-like illness cases in our unaffected districts. And while we have asked states to at least search for 250 cases and then test them, there are some states which are testing 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 patients in the districts. So that, I think, is a good sign. We are very happy about it. You see, as far as the health workers are concerned, whether they are the doctors, nurses, or the paramedics, or all those who are employed in the hospitals and are serving the corona patients in some capacity or the other, they are our frontline workers. They are our real corona warriors. I think they are the people about whom the Prime Minister also said that on 22nd of March we have to, officially the whole country has to in fact felicitate them and express their good wishes and blessings for them. We are thoroughly committed to ensure that they are given the best possible protection while they are dealing with their patients. And that's why, you see, I'll just give you an example. India was a country which was not producing these PPE kits. And today we have been able to have over 100 manufacturers in this country where we are getting a delivery of something like 3 lakh PPE kits every day, which we are distributing to the states, and to ensure that each and every corona warrior, wherever he needs, he gets a proper PPE kit, he gets a proper mask, he gets all other facilities. And right now the situation is such that many of the state governments, when we tell them that we have to send you the PPE kits, they say that we don't have place to keep them in our stores. Wait for some time. I think that's very much a concern for all of us, and Particularly, I have been emphasizing this aspect to every health minister in all my video conferences with them, which I do almost every week. And these days I am doing it at a personal level also with individual states. Our health secretary also talks to all the officials in the health departments of the states on this issue. And with a detailed presentation, also we keep emphasizing to them that all those non-COVID patients, they have to be given the best possible treatment in our hospitals, even under COVID-19 situation also, whether it is for dialysis, whether it is for heart patients, whether it is for blood transfusions to our thalassemics, etc. So this aspect is quite regularly emphasized. We are even asking them to ensure that all other programs like vaccination, tuberculosis elimination activities, they also don't get compromised in some form or the other.